Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Zachary True. Today I'm going to show you guys how I edit videos in Davinci Resolve. So we're going to start off with a new project. What I have downloaded is Davinci Resolve Studio 20. So I'm going to start a new project here, and I already shot some videos yesterday. So I'm going to call this Making Breakfast. So what you're seeing is the cut page right now. So in Davinci Resolve, there are different tabs here. What I like to do first is I like to go to my project settings, go to File and Project Settings. So project settings is where I set the timeline resolution, frame rate, as well as the color management. And so in the master settings, this is important because you want to set your frame rate for your timeline. And so I know I shot my footage in 23 frames per second. So for my timeline, I'm going to choose 23.976. That's the standard when it comes to cinema as well as broadcast. And then what I'll do next is I'll go to color management. So color management is very important, which I'll explain later. And it has to do with color grading. So the important thing is to set your timeline color space. So what I'll do just for the sake of this video is set the color space timeline to Rec 709. So since I'm using a MacBook Pro, I'll use Rec 709A. And the reason why I choose Rec 709A over Rec 709 Gamma 2.4, which is over here, is because sometimes you might be using either a PC or you might be using a MacBook Pro, and usually Rec 709 works better. Rec 709A works better for MacBook displays. So I choose this. And then output color space, same as timeline. All right, so now I'm going to import the footage. So it looks a little confusing in Davinci Resolve, but basically how I import my footage is I go to File, Import, and I will import media. So I'll find my folder with all my footage. So right here, I'll actually import the videos that I shot yesterday. And I was making breakfast, so I was cooking some eggs. So typically what I like to do is shoot for the edit, which means that as I'm shooting, I'm thinking about the edit in mind, which is like what happens next. And it's kind of like a way for me to like piece together what I already know is going to fit onto the timeline, so that I don't have to like worry about it later in the edit. For me to see these clips, I can just click here and just play it back. So this is a clip of me at home. It's not really colored yet because it's like all gray and desaturated, but I'll show you guys how I color correct later on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of these clips and create a new timeline using the selected clips. I'll just call these clips for now. And since we already adjusted our project settings, I'm gonna make sure that I click Use Project Settings in this box. And then already it's laid out on a timeline right here. And this is the cut page. So you're actually gonna go to the edit page. So this is what the edit page is gonna look like. All of your media is going to be on the left side. Your main video is gonna be in the center, and then on your right side is actually going to be your inspector tab. So inspector allows you to see the different settings that you can do for your video. So like say you could zoom in or zoom out. You could position it left and right or up and down, for example. Just going to reset here. And then you have all these other things like cropping, opacity settings, and even stabilization too. These features that you see are available in the studio version. You can actually get Davinci Resolve for free, except it doesn't come with the AI Smart Reframe. So I like to have pretty much all of my clips laid out on a timeline like this. And what I'll do is I'll just like look through it. So yeah, this is me opening the fridge and getting a carton of eggs. And then I'll actually cut here. So when I go through my clips, I make sure that I cut the footage that I don't need. What I did just now was I pressed W on my keyboard, and I already have my hotkey set up to where I can cut my videos. But if you don't know how to do that yet, there's this option, right? There's this key right here that looks like a razor, and I would just cut this part out, and then you can just delete. So this next clip, I'm setting up the eggs, so I know that I took multiple takes for this. So I know I like this last take right here, so I will cut and I'll remove all the unusable footage. So I try to trim out parts that aren't usable, like unintentional camera shake or bad takes. And this is me setting down the eggs. So I know this was my next shot right here. I'm taking out the egg, so I'll cut this. And then I'll press E. So my keyboard shortcut is basically to drag all of is to delete the gaps and to drag all of the clips from the right side to the left, which is pretty easy, right? Yeah, so basically just gonna start culling through all these clips. And then this is one where I shot from top down of the frying pan on the stove. And then this is me like pouring oil into the pan. So I like to get a variety of shots, and that way like the video looks interesting. And get different angles as well. I know I want the clip of me breaking the egg. So I'm playing the clip so that I can see what parts that I like and what I don't like. Then I'm speeding it a little forward. So I'm skipping through and finding which shots that I like. So it looks pretty good. Just cut. And this is another take of the eggs being cooked. Yeah, I like my eggs sunny side up. So this is a clip of the plate with rice already, and then I will scoop the eggs into the plate and plate it. So this is me plating the dish right now. Oh, this last take is of me eating the food. So I like to sequence my events from beginning to end. And as I mentioned earlier, I like to shoot with the edit in mind. So I think of what happens from start until end. So in this story, it starts off with me looking in the fridge for eggs, taking it out, and then cooking it, and then ends with me plating it and eating it. And so it's just a basic story, right? It's pretty cool. Now what I do next is the assembly part. So this is where I put all of my clips onto a timeline, and I start to kind of refine the video a little bit more. So what I'll do is I'll make a second timeline. So I'll go ahead and right click, timelines, create a new timeline, and I'll call this making breakfast. So now that we've selected our clips, let's go ahead and build out our timeline. The question I get asked a lot is, do I choose my music and sounds first, or do I choose the clips that go on the timeline first? And my answer to that is, it depends on which one carries the heart of the video that you're trying to create. So if your music is carrying most of the video, then I will go ahead and choose the song first. But if it's the story, it's the clips that you shot, then I would assemble the clips first, build it out, build a skeleton timeline, and then find the music that flows well and helps to carry the story. This is a trick that I'll teach you, and it's called stacking timelines. So if you click on the left side where you get to view your timeline options, I go to display stack timelines, and then you're going to click this button here so you can add a timeline. So basically what you're doing is you're stacking on timelines. So this first part, this top timeline right here will be the clips that we selected, and then the bottom will be the actual video that we're trying to make. And so I know what happens first is I go to my fridge, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this clip down here, and then I'll play it. So I actually like to have, maybe I'll trim out the fat right here. So it starts with me opening the fridge. And got some eggs. And so closing the door, so cut here. Now if you're wondering why the footage looks so gray and desaturated, that's because it was shot in log. So log is when you shoot in a flat color profile with your camera so that you can preserve the highlights and shadows, and it makes color grading a lot easier. So for color grading, I'm going to teach you a basic tutorial on how I color correct. So because I know that my timeline is Rec 709, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into the effects. So right now, as you can see, this is the color tab, and you can see this center page is where your nodes are. And nodes are basically like layers for your color grade. And then you'll see like the waves here, which are your scopes, and it shows you your waveform. So you can tell it's shot in log because the waves are pretty much close to the center. And when it's converted to Rec 709, and it'll actually stretch out to the top and bottom portions of the graph. And what I like to do to color correct is I go to the effects. So I click on this effects tab right here, and I'll look for color space transform. So I'll drag this onto this node here. And I know that my input color space and input gamma is S-log3. So what I'll go ahead is choose the settings that matched my camera's picture profile setting. And so I chose, so I had it on Sony S-Gamma 3 Cine and S-log3. And so already it's converted. So it looks pretty good. And you don't really need to worry about output color space and output gamma because we've set it in the project settings already. So already it's Rec 709. And so here's a tip that I like to do in Davinci Resolve. So to color correct all of your clips, so I'll choose all of my clips that aren't color corrected, and I'll hold down Control or Command, and I'll select the clip that is color corrected, right click, and select Apply Grade, and replace all the existing grades. And so now all of the clips have been color corrected. Now, I'm not going to do really intensive color grading in this tutorial, but if you want to see a more detailed video on how I color grade, I'll include that in the description as well. So this is what the whole video looks like. So that is a pretty basic story. It doesn't get more complicated than that. But if you want to spice up the video, you could add some music, as well as some text or subtitles. Now what I'm going to show you guys is how I export the video so that it's pretty high quality. I'll go to this delivery tab right here, which is like picture of a rocket. I will label this file or this video as making breakfast. So try and export it to my desktop. So that's going to be my destination. And so my settings for this is I'll go with QuickTime H.264 for the codec, and then resolution. So since my timeline resolution is 1920 by 1080, then I can choose it as that. That's going to be HD, but if I want to make it 4K, then I'll go ahead and choose 3840 by 2160. And then for quality, what I do is I will restrict it to 45,000. Color space, tag, and gamma tag are same as project. And then if I had subtitles, I'll go ahead and export them. But since I don't, then these settings are pretty good right now. So I'll add to render queue, render. And yeah, that's basically how I edit videos. So if you guys like this video, then be sure to like as well as subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, take care.